Today, as you can see, I have with me the captain and the black mask. They're going to help me with a short reading of a children's tale, sort of a kind of a almost elf and fairy kind of thing, almost, with a lesson. It is titled Ring of Nature. The synopsis is 12-year-old Stindle Martin and his friend Fiona have found a ring which appears to give its bearer magical ability. But is the ring dangerous? Stindle and Fiona find themselves faced with a choice which could have consequences worldwide. Will they do the right thing? Let's find out. One day, I was walking through the forest near my village, looking for some cool rocks for my collection. There's a small lake in the woods where sometimes me and my friends would go to cool off. It was on the edge of this lake where this story begins. There was a really big flower bush growing on the edge of the lake. I had never seen one before. The leaves were the darkest shade of hunter green I had ever seen, and the flowers were just huge. The petals were each about 3 inches long or so, and they were really a quite attractive shade of pinkish red. As I walked up to the bush, I could smell the nicest odor in the air. It was like a combination of rose and jasmine, maybe even honeysuckle. The smell made me want to breathe deep, and even made my stomach rumble like the flowers were maybe even edible. I just knew my mom would love to have some of these flowers. Gripping one of the flower stems by the base, I pinched it off at the point where it came out from the main plant. Curious, I raised the flower to my nose and took a deep breath. The smell was fantastic. Cupping the flower in my hand, I looked at the petals. Imagine my surprise when, on looking closer, I saw a glowing ring. Yep, a ring. You know, like jewelry. It was just sitting there right in the center of the flower. This was just way too cool to believe. Carefully, I plucked the ring out of the flower and looked at it. It looked like gold. My heart was jumping in my chest. I was so excited. This was the neatest thing that had ever happened to me. Turning the ring over, I looked at it. It wasn't too big. It was basic round, but it kind of glowed. Thinking the glow was probably just from the sun, kind of reflecting off of it, I slipped it onto my finger. A jolt ran right up my arm. It was like being shocked. Like when some kid would rub their feet on the carpet and then touch you. Boop! What the heck, I said, and looked closer. The glow was fading from the ring, and now I could see that the ring wasn't really just a plain band. There was a faint design on it that looked like traces of leaves and flowers. As the glow kind of dimmed out, I saw that the metal was more silvery than golden. It was, however, very pretty. I just couldn't figure out why the heck I couldn't get it off. It was stuck. Well, what do you have here? Said a voice from behind me. I jumped a tad, jerked my hand back. Nothing. Just thought I felt a bug in my hand. Where have you been, Fiona? Just stopped to look at some pretty flowers back over there, Stindle. By the way, that's me. Stindle Martin, 12 years old and always in trouble. Fiona is my best friend, but don't tell her that. She lives down the road from me, and her mom makes the best apple tarts in the village. Fiona thinks that's the reason I hang out with her, but, actually, I like her. She's pretty cool for a girl, and kind of pretty, too. But, again, don't tell her I said that. Let me see your hand, said Fiona. Did you get bit? With a sheepish grin, I held my hands up, and Fiona gasped as she saw the ring. That's gorgeous. Where did you find it? Where did you get that? I found it in a flower. In a flower? What flower? Picking up the flower I had dropped by my feet, I showed it to her. This flower. It was right in the middle of the petals, just sitting there. Ooh, that's really pretty. Bending down, Fiona smelled the flower. Mmm, nice, she said. Taking the flower from my hand, Fiona tucked it over one ear, where it sat prettily in her hair. Can I hold the ring? It won't come off. When I put it on, it sent a shock of some kind up my arm, and now I can't get it off. That's weird. Let's go show it to your mom. Maybe she can get it off with some soap. As we walked up the trail towards home, I noticed Fiona looking behind us all the time, like something strange was going on back there behind us. What's up? What are you looking at? I asked. Everywhere you've been stepping, the grass is greener than in other places. Check it out. Turning, I looked down the path. Sure enough, there was the expected trail of pushed down grass blades slowly springing back that marked where Fiona and I had been walking. But behind me, stretching back toward the lake, there was a line of darker green patches. They were spread about a footstep's distance apart from one to the other. Each dark green spot was vaguely foot-shaped. Wow! Awesome! What the heck is going on? Looking at my hand, I turned the strange ring in a slow circle around my finger. Maybe it has something to do with this ring. Show me the flowers you were looking at. Fiona took me over to a bush which had a bunch of little white flowers on it. I reached out to pick one. When my hand touched the bush, all the flowers suddenly bloomed open, like they had just gotten a jolt of super fertilizer. Miracle-Gro? It was way neat. Wow! I wonder if this thing works on all types of plants. When we got close to my house, which was on the edge of town not too far out of the wood line, I stopped Fiona for a moment and asked her not to mention the ring to my mom. Hi, Mom, I said as we walked in the door. Hi, Stendhal. How are you, Fiona? Just as I started to ask my mom for some soap to get the ring off my finger, she said, Oh, by the way, did either of you see the strange woman that was here earlier? Woman? No. I haven't seen anyone we don't know. Why? I'm not sure. There was just something about her. There was a faraway look on my mom's face, like she wasn't seeing me and Fiona, but was looking at someone only she could see in her mind. Obviously someone who had made an impression. She's very pretty, but it seemed kind of, ghostly? Shaking her head slightly, my mom's gaze refocused on me, and she smiled. Anyway, she was asking about a silver ring. Wanted to know if anyone had found one. My heart jumped into my throat, and I had to swallow the lump before I could reply. Really? Where did she go? I'm not sure. I think she may be up at the mayor's house. Fiona nudged me in the side with the point of her elbow, and I glared at her, praying she wouldn't say anything. I placed my hands behind my back and told Mom we were going to head toward the mayor's to get a peek at the stranger. Okay, said Mom. Be back by 5 for supper. Sure thing. Heading back out the door, I turned toward our garden in the back. What's up with you? Fiona asked. I want to test this ring, I said, kneeling by the edge of our vegetable garden. I leaned over and touched a head of lettuce. The lettuce immediately turned a pretty shade of healthy green and bushed out. Wow, that's radical. I've got it, I know, shouted Fiona, pointing at my ring. Shh, I said, and dragged Fiona around the corner of the neighbor's house. That must be the ring of Mother Nature, said Fiona. With that ring, you can make any plants grow that you want. Wow! Imagine the harvest season we could have. The whole village would get rich. You really think so? Lifting my hand, I gazed raptly at the ring, which sparkled prettily in the sun. Should we keep it? Mother Nature? Cool. Glancing at Fiona, I saw her staring at my hand with a strange look on her face. Her eyes were kind of tight, and her nose was wrinkled up a little bit. She looked Hold on, she said. Let's think about this for a minute. Mother Nature has to keep plants and food growing all over the world, right? Yeah, I guess so. So, what happens if you keep the ring? Our village might get rich, but would other villages starve? Yeah, I kind of saw what Fiona was getting at, but oh man, I wanted so bad to keep the ring. Still, and if we had lots of food and other places didn't, they might even come attack us to steal our food so that they don't starve. That's right, said Fiona. I suppose we'd better return this ring to the lady then, or else there's no telling what might happen. I suppose you're right, I said with a glum expression. That settled, we took off toward the center of town, where the mayor lived. He had the biggest house in the whole village. I was inside once. He actually had 3 bathrooms. And the bathroom was inside the house. How cool is that? As we rounded the corner down the block from Mayor Elmont's, Fiona grabbed me by the arm and pointed us farther up the street. There she is. Looking where Fiona was pointing, I saw a beautiful woman with long, shiny dark hair, wearing a shimmering green gown. The green in the dress was very light and kind of, I don't know, what's the word? Ethereal, I guess. In any case, it was a really pretty dress, and there wasn't a single speck of dirt on it that I could see. Not even where she touched the bottom to the dirt road. That's her, all right, I said. Suddenly, the lady turned toward us, and her eyes met mine. Our gazes locked for a second that seemed to last forever. I felt a tingling up my spine, and I almost turned and ran. But then the lady smiled at me. She had the most beautiful smile, with absolutely the whitest teeth I had ever seen. And her eyes lit up, just lit up with a sparkling glint of humorous kindness. Suddenly I felt better and somehow just knew that this woman would never hurt me, or anybody. I found my feet walking up the road toward her before I had even realized I was moving. When I got to her, I stopped and held my hand out, palm down, so she could see the ring. Do you know who I am and what this does? Her voice was like liquid music flowing into my ears, and I could hear birds singing in the distance as she spoke. With a gulp, I said, Yes, ma'am, I believe so. She smiled again, and my heart leaped in my chest. Are you sure you want to return the ring? I can't force you to, you know. Yes, ma'am, I said, and swallowed. I think that if I don't return it, there'll be a lot of trouble in the long run. How right you are, said the lady. Delicately, she reached down and effortlessly slid the ring off my finger. You can never tell anyone about me losing this ring. And thank you for your selflessness. With that, she leaned down and gave me a light kiss on the cheek. My face bloomed with heat, and I just knew that I was as red as a beet. Trying to hide my embarrassment, I turned to introduce Fiona. Fiona was standing right behind me, her mouth hanging open, for once, absolutely speechless. What's wrong with you? I said. Trying to catch flies? Mutely, Fiona just pointed behind me. When I turned back toward the lady, she was gone. Just gone. It was like she had disappeared. No puff, no smoke, no nothing, just gone. Awesome, I said. Now, I guess that's about the end of my story, except maybe for just one thing. The last couple of harvests since then, and that was 2 years ago now, our village has had the largest, juiciest corn, the bushiest lettuce, and the biggest, roundest peas of any village in the whole area. Neat, huh?